Hello, everyone. It's Tyraptor 101 here, and if you've seen the title, then you already know, but I'm still gonna say it. Today I'm doing a video on why Big E beat Despino in Capitation Season 5. We all know, if you're a Jurassic Park fan, that what happened in Jurassic Park 3 and how controversial it was to have the T-Rex just get killed relatively quickly in that final battle, or not really even final battle. It's just kind of battle in the movie. T-Rex kind of gets neck snapped, and well, I'm gonna be doing a review on the fights. So in the first fight, between Big Edie and the Spino, and also there's two raptors, but they're controlled. No, they're being controlled, and if you see this image where you can see Biggie biting down on the Spino, and the Spino loses like a fourth of his health from one bite, which goes to show us how strong Biggie's bite force is. We also see, if you watch Jurassic Park 3, in the fight, the bull T Rex was able to make the Spino bleed. So it does show that this T Rex is. I've heard a few people say like, "Oh, they don't have a strong bite because they never can because realistically, these dinosaurs would get one shot." But no, that didn't happen. And the Spino, after getting bites Big Edie, and then the two raptors come in, and kind of like as Big Edie goes in for like a second bite, biting into the Spino's sail, the two raptors jump on Big Edie and keeping her off the Spino. So in a way, the Raptors kind of saved the Spino. Yeah, I don't necessarily think the Big Edie would have outright killed it here, but I do think she would have had the advantage um over the Spino. So who do I necessarily think wins? I think it's more of a draw here. So if you're looking at this from like a perspective, who got the draw? I think I would give this to Biggie. Honestly, she had the edge in the fight. She didn't necessarily beat the. She didn't necessarily beat the Spinosaurus, but she definitely had the edge. And also, when you go into the second fight at the river, you can see Big Edie and Little Edie are at the river together, and the two of them are kind of waiting for the approaching Spino and the other dinosaurs. As all of them charge, remember the Spino's mind controlled here, but Big Edie isn't. And Big Edie charges in and grabs the Spino by the throat and slams it down into the water. And it kind of cuts away to some scenes with the campers. And then we go to like a scene where a scene where we see Spino grab Big Edie and kind of dunk her into the water, but then kind of like grab her and try to I don't know what it really tried to do, but it kind of grabs her, lifts her up into the air a little bit because does have that height advantage, so I can see it trying to use that height. Um, then I believe we kind of see Big Edie kind of go in for the throat of the Spino again. In the next scene, I think we see her like bite the Spino by its throat, and the Spino kind of uses its claws trying to get Big Edie off. And definitely, I think the Spino is struggling. I think the main reason why is I think the strength overall, I think it's around equal between the two. Because Big Edie was shown to be able to one-shot pierce the Kentrosaurus, and we didn't really see the Spino in any fights in Season 4. It just kind of like killed the Smilodon and like scared away the campers, chased them around. That was pretty much it. But as you can see now, Big kind of bites into the Spino, and it kind of uses its claw to get her off, and then they kind of go back and forth for like Big Edie roars at the Spino, and the Spino kind of roars back, and it goes to a scene where like Spinal is roaring at Big Edie, and she steps back. Then Big Edie does the same, and the Spinal steps back before I think it like snaps at her, and as the two were like roaring face to face, the two raptors come in from earlier and jump onto the Spinal sail, and the Spinal kind of needs a little help from some other. I think it was like the Dimetrodon. No, not Dimetrodon. Dimorphodon. I think it was to like help get the raptors off of it, so it can continue its fight with Big Edie. Sooner or later, the fight gets separated, and the Spino, Toro, and Limbo jump Little Edie. And then that's when, as it seems like Little Edie's about to like die, Big Edie comes in and the fight happens. And now it's like a 3v1, or technically a 4v1 if you count the Dimorphodon. But she runs straight in and starts wrecking shit up. Like she grabs Limbo and yeets him. We don't see him, I don't believe, for the rest of the season, so I'm pretty sure he's dead. Then we see Toro and the Dimorphodon um get just headbutted out of the way, and the Spinal kind of grabs Big Edie by her tail and pulls her into the ground. And as Big Spinal's trying to like go in for that finishing blow, Big Edie just kicks him in the jaw and sends him flying back. Now we don't see exactly what happens next, but we do see Spinal has his jaws around Big Edie's neck. So what I'm assuming is Spinal recovered from this relatively quickly and grabbed her by the neck. And after this, we kind of see the Spinal kind of slamming Big Edie into trees, and Big Edie kind of gets out of the Spinal's grip. But the Spinal is able to like grab her once again, and this time the Spinal doesn't let her go, and is like kind of biting down as strong as it can. And also, one thing to mention is that the way the Spinal is holding her, it's possible because you do see blood, which means Spinal definitely did break the skin. I don't think it necessarily snapped her neck, because if it snapped her neck, she wouldn't have got up. I think the sound, because you hear like a crunching, not a crunching sound, but like just pretty much just sound like, and most people are like, oh god, it snapped her neck. Um, I don't think it did. I think what happened was it just kind of broke the skin and probably broke like a vein, and Beatty from the pain possibly like passed out from shock. And she kind of had like a Rexy scene where like she's down and she's slowly breathing is fading. And she kind of seemingly dies as the Spinal steps on her and lets out that roar, which never ever had Jurassic Park 3 roar, but still. So it has some hinters of the Jurassic Park 3 roar in there. It could be the Spinal went through puberty. Just saying. His voice cracked. Imagine. But the Spinal, but the Spinal steps on Big Edie and walks off. Then we see Little Edie, and in the background, looking at the Spino. She's enraged at the Spino, and Spino walks off with the other dinosaurs. Walks off, and then we kind of see, um, in the 12th season, just as Darius is about to get killed by the Spinosaurus, out of nowhere, Big Edie runs through the trees, and I think pretty much what ended up happening was all that really happened was she probably just passed out from shock. And, passing out was probably over dramatized, but the way they writ that scene was perfect. Now, who do I think I won around? Obviously Spino, but one thing that's interesting about this, you can argue that Spino could beat her here without help, but I definitely think it would not have been as easy. And I do think Big Edie was a little bit, she was a little bit slower here than she usually is. So I would give this one to Spino, but Spino definitely needed help to get the edge. And also, when we see her coming back, we don't see any blood on her neck or anything. She seems perfectly fine. That goes to my theory that maybe Espano just kind of broke the skin and she passed up shock but ended up getting back up. And, Big Edie kind of runs in and, Big Edie also steps on the mind control. So Espano isn't being controlled right now. It's just Espano and Big Edie. Neither one controlled, and it's just all out fighting. And Big Edie, man, I'm telling you this. The day I watched that season and I saw the Spino get its ass kicked, you, man, if only some of you would have. I was cheering. When she came out of the trees, I first thought for a second it was Little Edie, but then, because her skin color, I knew a Big Edie wasn't blue, or kind of bluish green. So I was like, oh no, that's Big Edie. She comes back and she slams into the Spino and shoves him into a tree, biting the neck of the Spino. Spino screeches in pain as Big Edie just, bites him. Then she kind of roars at his face, kind of like a Godzilla vs. Kong situation. Um, and then we kind of see like the Spino kind of push itself back up and kind of turns and roar back at Big Edie. Then in the next scene, we see the Spino kind of backing away. It kind of cuts away for a second, but we see Little Edie come in, eat the mercenary guy who was with us in like season 2, I think. I think he was with us in season 2 and season 3. Maybe. I don't remember exactly. I know there was some guys. But, he comes in, not him, but Little Edie eats the guy and joins her mother at combat. The Spinosaurus is already backing up from Big Edie and then looks, seeing Little Edie. And then as Big Edie charges in, Spino tries to like grab her by her neck, trying to do that neck chomp. But Big Edie ducks under the Spino, hitting him like right in an area where the Spino can't bite him. Or, I'm sorry, not her. Can't bite her on her neck. And then she uses all of her, well, I wouldn't say all of her strength, but she pushes the Spino over, which is one thing man, she is strong for a T-Rex. And she literally yeets the Spinosaurus. Like, she topples the Spinosaurus over, and it rolls over. In one scene that pisses me off is how in the just mother I don't want to say that, but just how did it manage to survive? Its sail literally literally bent all the way to one side for a second. How did it survive? The only way to explain that is plot armor. Straight plot armor. Like, come on, my guy. There's no way it survives that. But yeah, Spinosaurus kind of rolls over. It kind of lands on its sail, rolls over, and slides, leaving this big, just kind of dark and messed up area in the ground. And that's when the Spino gets up, and I'm thinking, okay, they're about to like double team him or something. But no, he just runs off. And you can see kind of like how Big Edie's standing. She's ready to fight. And Little E is kind of hanging back. I do think she might be a little scared of the Spino because in the fight in the forest, she really wasn't. Like, she acted like she was a little scared to fight the Spino. But whatever it was, Spino runs off, and that's the end of the fight. Who do I think won? Well, it's obvious, Big Edie. Do I think she needed help? Not really, because I think all of this things that happened would have happened either way, because Spino was already backing away from little Big Edie. And plus, every time Big Edie attacked, the Spinosaurus was aware that Big Edie charged from the forest. The Spino faced her and roared. Then when Big Edie tries to attack again, the Spino is facing her and roars at her. Well, not roars, but prepares for attack. Big E won this fight fair and square. Whatever Spinal fans say, it's not true. Big E won this fight fair and square 1v1. I have to go, and see you all later. Goodbye, subscribe, whatever.